Hello, my name is Meg, and I will be your librarian today. I am here to tell you about some of the many resources available to you through the DU libraries. So if you start at our library homepage, which is library.du.edu, one of the first things I like to show is this Ask Us button over here on the right-hand side of the page. So if you ever forget any of the things I'm saying here, you can go to the Ask Us button and get help via chat, text, phone, or in person. Let's demo the chat here, and I'll put in my name and the fact that I'm a faculty member. You would type your question here. I'm just going to type out that this is a demo. We'll start the chat, and whoever is working at the Research Center desk will respond as soon as they can. Oh, we can see they've joined the chat, and they said hello back. All right, so we'll just say thank you and close down the chat and scroll down the page a little bit further to show that you can also set up an appointment called a research consultation. If you request a research consultation here, you can meet with a librarian one-on-one, in person, or via Zoom online. And if you tell us about your topic, we will match you up with the best librarian for your subject area. Back on the library homepage, other information of interest might include the hours of the library. We also include the hours for our branch music library, the branch law library, and the Hamden Center. That's not publicly accessible branch, but we do keep about 75% of our print books off-site at the Hamden Center in Lakewood. If you'd like to read any of these books, you can request them through Compass, and we do have a Prius that comes to campus twice a day to bring books in. Scrolling further down, you can see we also do announcements about events and classes happening in the library. If you click on any of those events, it'll take you out to a page with more information. Now, the website gives you access to all of our electronic resources. If you'd like to come to the library and actually look at all of our physical resources as well, these maps on the left-hand side might come in handy. So, we have both a map to where you can find the Anderson Academic Commons, and we also have this detailed study room map, which might be of assistance. You can see when you enter the library on the main floor, initially on your right is the lending desk. That's where you can check out books, course reserves materials, you can check out calculators, chargers for your laptop, etc. This is the new books area, where books that came out recently are shelved. This is the Research Center. I work behind the Research Center. You can always find someone to help you right here at the lending desk. Now, you can continue on down either to the lower level, where you will find you'll find the main stacks. So if something says it's in the main stacks, it's on the lower level. You will also find our browsing periodicals. So if you want to read a print magazine, you can find our collection there. And you will also find our special collections and archives. That's the Fogel Reading Room here, where they collect the history of the university and of the region. If you go to the upstairs, that's the upper level. That's where you will find the DVD collection, which you can browse. So, let's talk about Compass, which is this giant red search box on the library homepage. It's the library's attempt to emulate Google. It lets you search the vast majority of the library resources all at once. So, I think you guys might be interested in a book called Science of Yoga, so I'm going to search for that. Type in my words and click search. And once Compass loads, the first thing we might note is how many results we got. You can see up here we got 91,000 results. And when you search everything we own at once, that is a real risk. Next thing I want you to look at are the options for narrowing down your search on the right-hand side. You can see that we're searching articles from journals, newspaper articles. We're searching books, book chapters, all sorts of different things. The first thing you might be tempted to push is this peer-reviewed journals button right here. That will narrow down your search to articles from peer-reviewed journals, which can be a handy way to narrow your search. Just keep in mind that this button isn't smart enough to tell the difference between something like, say, a book review in a peer-reviewed journal and an actual peer-reviewed article. So do watch out for shorter content from a peer-reviewed journal, which itself is not peer-reviewed. If we scroll down here, we have a nice example of that. Here's a book review. You also want to watch out for editorials, opinion pieces, short introductory pieces that are published in peer-reviewed journals, but they're short or they're opinions, so they're actually not worth taking through the whole peer review process. So let's take that filter off and examine some of the other filters. In this case, I'm going to have you guys look at resource type again. If we scroll down and we say show more, you can see all the sorts of other things we have. Let's look specifically at books. And that gives the books that I wanted to show you. Pride of Place at the top, Science of Yoga. You can see it's from 2019. If you click on the title, it gets you some more information about the book. We can see that we do have this book. It's in the main library, in the new book area. This is the call number in the Library of Congress system. It's like the book's address on the shelf, and we'll talk about how to find that book once you have that number in a second. So write down that number. You also want to check and make sure that the status says item in place, so it really is on the shelf. And you can also check out the description at the bottom to see if it's worth going to the shelf. So if you read the description, it sounds good, then you can decide to go to the shelf and get that book. Now let's say that you're specifically looking for books, movies, and music, and you didn't find what you were looking for in Compass. If you scroll down a bit further on the page, you can also search Prospector. Prospector is a big catalog that lets you search the catalogs of a large number of libraries in Colorado all at once. So let's say you're interested in catching up on the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones before season 8 finishes. If you search Game of Thrones, you can see all the books about Game of Thrones, the DVDs, and the musical sound recordings in other libraries in Colorado. I'll give you a hint. We actually do have all 7 seasons on DVD upstairs in the main library. So instead, let's click on this book about medievalism in Game of Thrones. You can see which libraries hold the book. We don't hold it, but they've got it at Colorado Springs, Wyoming. You can see some subject headings associated with the book. Sometimes you'll have a description. In this case, we don't have much, but if you decide you'd like to borrow this book, just scroll back on up and push the Request It button. Now you are going to get a long list of libraries. You're looking for the one that says Alliance U of Denver, and the good news is that we can borrow books very quickly from any library on this list. Most of them are in Colorado. You will see that the University of Wyoming joined the Alliance, so they can have, broader opportunities of libraries to trade with. So just select Alliance University of Denver. Then you're going to enter your name, your 87 number, and choose a pickup location. And for most of you, unless you are studying music or law, you're going to want to choose Main Library Lending Desk. And most books you request through Prospector will arrive at the main library within 5 days. You can also feel free to request books that you'd like to read for fun, so fiction books, cookbooks, anything like that. You can check them out from other libraries, have them delivered here, and keep them for 6 weeks. Now, when we search Compass, we saw that we often get around 100,000 results. If you'd like to dive into a subject-specific database, you can do that right here under Compass in the Databases box. I'm clicking here on this link that says Databases. And you'll see I now see that we have currently around 983 databases. First, I want to show you how to sort the databases by type. If you look here, you can see we have several interesting types of databases. I'm very fond of pointing out the language learning databases. We have 4 different databases that will help you learn almost any language you want. This includes Rosetta Stone. That's actually very expensive language learning software, so you can take advantage of the fact that's included with your tuition while you're at DU. Going back, if we clear out the filters, and we also look at other database types, you can see another popular one are the videos here. We have, in addition to all the DVDs we have in the library, we have quite a few collections of streaming video. You can scroll down and look at the ones that you are interested in. I will say a very popular video database is Canopy right here. Canopy has actually gone so far as to make an app for if you have an Amazon streaming stick or a Roku box or a Chromecast. So you can actually stream videos from Canopy to your TV through the app. You log into it the same as the way you log into all library databases with your 87 number and your password. This will work the same on and off campus. And once it loads, you'll see that Canopy collects both documentaries as well as feature films. So you can see that new Mr. Rogers documentary is here, and if you scroll down, we have cinema from around the world, and they often try to collect things such as Oscar nominees. So it's a lot like Netflix, it just has a much smaller selection. So if you're willing to settle for a smaller selection of movies, you can use the free Canopy account through the library rather than paying for a Netflix account. All right, so now let's draw our attention away from Canopy, if you can, and back to our A to Z list of databases, which contains lots of other cool databases, I promise. So we've also divided these databases up by subjects here. So if you pull down this subject list, you can see there's all sorts of different topics you can study here at DU, everything from biology to computer science to communication science to dance and economics. So you can go ahead and look through this full list of subjects later, but today we're going to look at the health and medicine database category together. You can see that I've actually pulled out of those 900 plus databases, the 32 that I find most helpful for health and medical research. I've gone one step further and also pulled out 3 best bets. So if you're starting research on a health and medical topic, I would recommend you start in one of these 3 databases. So let's do some example database searching together. I'm going to go ahead and say we'll start off by searching PubMed, which includes the major medical database called Medline. So if you click on the title, it'll open in a new window. If you hadn't logged in, it'll prompt you to log in with your 87 number and your password. So let's do an example search in PubMed, and let's stick with the idea of yoga. So we're interested in articles about yoga, but there's a lot written on yoga, so we don't want to just type in yoga. Let's type in 2 keywords, and we'll connect our 2 keywords with capitalized and to tell the database it's a search instruction. We're not looking for articles with word and. And let's say we're looking for articles on yoga and back pain. I'm going to go ahead and put back pain in quotation marks because that tells the database we're going to search that as a phrase. That will exclude articles that mention bad back, but actually for my purposes, I'm not worried about that. I think I'm still going to get a lot of helpful articles about yoga and back pain. Here we are. So one of the first things I like to notice in any database is how it has sorted my results. So if we come here, we can see that PubMed defaults to sorting by most recent. So they get the absolute newest article first. Here's one from May of 2019. I do realize that it's not May yet. This was published electronically in February of 2019, and the print version is going to be coming out in this May. You can also resort by relevancy, so the articles that the computer thought were most relevant for your search based on what you typed in. PubMed calls a relevancy search best match. You can see this article at the top. It said the words in this article best match the words that you typed in. It's not the newest, it's from 2017, but it still looks like a helpful article. So besides resorting results, there's usually ways to narrow down your results. And one great way to narrow down is by date. In this case, I'm going to narrow down to articles written in the last 5 years. In science and technology, where information changes rapidly, it can be really helpful to narrow down to articles from the past 5 to 10 years. Of course, for English and history and other topics, currency is a much different question there. But let's go ahead and click on the title of an article and see a few more details. you'll see that we've got the abstract, so you can read the abstract to help you decide if the entire article is worth reading. Scroll down a little bit more. There'll usually be keywords listed, and keywords can end up being great search terms, so keep an eye on the keywords and see if there's any keywords you'd like to add to your search. Medline in particular has special keywords they call mesh terms, so that's another great place to mine for keywords. So you may not have the greatest search when you start, but as you search and get more familiar with your topic, you'll get better and better search terms and better searches. Now, if I want to see full text, I'm going to click on this red DU Libraries article linker button. That'll take us up to Compass and search for full text in all of our 900 plus databases. And so we're going to land on this page here, and it will tell us whether or not we have full text. And we do. So you can see this first result here is labeled with this icon that says DU has access. So that means that you, as a DU student, have access. You can see we also share databases with the Law Library and the Iliff School of Theology. So occasionally you will see databases that are labeled for either Iliff only or for Law only, but the vast majority of our databases we do license for DU users like you. So let's click on the title of the database, go out and find our full text of that article. And, oh, okay, we actually got an error, which makes this a good example, actually. You get an error, try clicking on the second link down and see if we have any better luck here. Oh, good, okay. So this time the database was able to find our article. So once you land on this page, look for the download PDF button. It'll look a little bit different on every page. It'll probably be on the right-hand side, the top, or the left. You can look, in addition to the PDF, you might be able to copy a pre-formatted citation. So if the publisher or the middleman who you're downloading full text from doesn't give you a pre-formatted citation, you can always copy a pre-formatted citation from Compass in a majority of the big 5 styles. The most important thing to remember is when you are copying a citation from a computer, one where the computer formatted it, treat it as a rough draft. Because actually I'm looking here and this might be the worst computer formatted citation I've ever seen. It's got the title twice, it's got random punctuation. So if you turn that in and your professor was grading you based on how you've done the citations, you definitely get points off, and I wouldn't care that the computer gave you the bad citation. They just care that you were the one who turned it in. Now, if you ever got to this page and you didn't see a full text link, you could instead request the article through Interlibrary Loan. You log into Interlibrary Loan with your 87 number and your Pioneer Web passcode. And once you log in, you can request any article that the library doesn't already have access to. We try to subscribe to as many journals as our budget allows, but if we don't subscribe to the article you need, you can request it through Interlibrary Loan. Now, if you've come from a database, it should have pre-filled the information for you. In a case like this, where there was a broken link and I couldn't actually get access to the article, I might put a note like that. But then once you press Submit Request, I won't actually press it this time, but when you press Submit Request, the article that you just requested should show up in your outstanding requests. And usually within 24 to 48 hours, that's our average turnaround time, you'll get an email from the library that will link you to this electronically received articles page. Your article will show up there, and you will be able to view and download the PDF. So Interlibrary Loan is a really important thing to remember. If you ever find a publisher online who wants you to pay anywhere from $24 to $140 for an article, definitely don't pay. Just come to the library and we'll get you the article you need. So let's come back one more time to our databases A to Z list and search another database so you can get the idea that all databases work approximately the same. There's just tips and tricks you need for each specific database if you want to get to be an expert. So let's go under subjects, and this time let's actually do general interdisciplinary. It's right at the top. So this is if you're looking for databases that cover all subject areas. Academic Search Complete is a database I love to recommend, particularly to first years, because I like to think of it as the Walmart of databases. They specifically designed this database to try to have a few articles on every topic, no matter what you search. So for comparison purposes, let's type in that exact same, search we typed into PubMed, yoga and back pain. We'll click search, and we will see what we get. So I can see that I actually got a similar number of articles as I did in PubMed, around 230. The next thing that really pops out at me is that this database defaulted to sorting my results by relevance. So that means that this first result here, I'm still zoomed in here. I think I might want to reset that a little bit. That's much better. So this article matched the keywords I searched very well. It said yoga and it said back pain a whole bunch of times. And actually, it's from 2018, so that's not too bad. Sometimes when you sort by relevance, you'll get very old articles on top, so watch out for that. You do have the same or at least similar sorts of options as you did in PubMed for narrowing down your search results on the left-hand side. You can narrow down by publication date, which is especially helpful if you are sorting by relevance. We've narrowed by publication date. The next thing we can see is that unlike PubMed, which specializes in peer-reviewed journal articles, Academic Search Complete contains a variety of document types, including popular sources such as magazines and newspapers. If we wanted to, we could narrow down to articles from scholarly peer-reviewed journals by clicking there. I can already see that my second result is in Persian. So you can see as we scroll down, there's other ways to narrow down. You can narrow down by subject term. If you were specifically interested in lumbar pain or physical therapy, you could click on that. You've got geography. If you were doing a search on business, you could search by industry type. But I was specifically interested in knocking out those articles, which I am not able to read personally, so I'm going to narrow down to English. And now we've got a list of 59 results. Now, personally, if I was doing the research, I would actually scroll quickly through all 59 results and read the titles of all 59 of them and just see which ones jump out at me. There's so much research out there in the world that if you settle for the article that the algorithm brought back and put at the top of your list, that you might actually really fall prey to what we call algorithmic bias. And so don't let the algorithm pick out the information for you. Go ahead and pick your own information. If you find an article that looks helpful, you can click on the title and get a little bit more information about it. We've got those subject terms. We've got the abstract. You can decide if you want to read the whole article. Over here, you have a place to copy a pre-formatted citation. And over here, you can download the PDF. If you don't see the PDF, go ahead and link out to Compass and see if we have the full text there. So thank you so much for listening to my lecture. Please let me know if you have any questions. And the rest of the guide is set up to help you actually start searching for articles on your topic. Thank you very much.